Welcome to Can I Park Here? Brought to you by FindAFashionTruck.com. Nashay and Estrell's mission is to inspire future and existing small business owners. They don't claim to be experts. They're simply trying to figure this all out. Just like
Hello, and welcome to the Can I Park Here podcast. I'm Nashay, and I'm here with
Estrell.
Well, people, it has been 2 months, which is kind of crazy pants. I know we've been crazy busy, and we'll recap that really quickly before we go into our first episode of the season. But thank you to everyone, all the new subscribers, and to the people who've been with us from the beginning. Thank you.
Yes, we love the support. We even got people in the Facebook group like, where is the podcast? When is it coming back?
I know. Thank you to the last person who left us a review. GBaby07 wrote, yes, and gave us 5 stars. And she says, I love this podcast. The information from others that have gone through this process is invaluable. I can't wait for a new episode. Thank you, GBaby07. I really appreciate you. And thank you to everybody else who has left us a review too. It really helps the podcast. So thank you. But Estrell, before we go into this new episode, and this new season, what have you been up to?
Recently, I decided to kind of update my website a little bit. So for all of you who don't know, I hand make fiber art wall hangings, and I sell on Etsy, but I also have a home decor blog. So what I decided to do is kind of merge the two together so that I can like sell off of Etsy as well. So my blog is on WordPress. So it's kind of tricky to like actually sell products too without incorporating some other kind of plugins or this and that apps, whatever. But I decided to just go ahead and make the jump over to Shopify. And I was able to do a free trial for 14 days with Shopify just to kind of see how it was before I actually deactivated my WordPress account. So I decided, I'm like, oh, this is actually pretty easy, and the themes looked great. So I made the jump, changed over to Shopify. Everything is on there. I'm actually, the end of the month, I have a photo shoot schedule for my products because I have a new website. I want pristine quality photos. That is key, people, on your website. If you're selling products, you need great photos. So I want to practice what I preach. I am going, even though it's going to be tight for my budget, but I'm going to go ahead and do it because I want the website to look great. Like, it's active right now. I have placeholder photos there, but these new photos, hopefully they're going to be awesome. And it's going to help my products sell better as well. So that's what I've been up to. It took me a while to get it together. It's still not 100% complete, but that's what I'm doing. And I have to say, Shopify is super easy. The customer service is amaze balls. Okay. Every time I had a question, I didn't have to hold for very long. It took me like immediately to get somebody from customer service on a line, and they helped me out. After the call, they followed up with the email to ask if I needed any further assistance, sent me links to helpful, articles that might help me with setting up my website. They were great. Super great. So just so you guys know that Nashay and I are an affiliate for Shopify. So if you guys are interested in signing up for a free trial for 14 days, just go to starterfashiontruck.com/Shopify and sign up.
Yeah. I mean, you guys know I've been a Shopify fan for a long time because I had switched the home decor stuff I work on to Shopify. And so I'm glad Estrell finally got on this train. Remember, if y'all remember past episodes, she was being kind of cheap.
Yeah. There is a monthly fee for Shopify. After the free trial is completed, then that's when the monthly fee starts, and you get to pick your plan. So I picked the basic plan, the more affordable one, which is $29 a month. So I can do that. It's doable.
And I've made my money back like big time. So to me, it's definitely worth it. It's just so easy and intuitive. I love it.
So what have you been doing, Nishay?
Oh, I thought you'd never ask.
Right. Like you didn't know it was coming.
So when I left you guys last episode, I told you I was working on a special site with my name, Nashe Snow, NACHESNOW.com. And I started a podcast, Studio 78 podcast also. And so Astrell has been on it. So far I have 7 episodes and I've gotten a great response. I've gotten some fashion truck ladies to already sign up for the newsletter. So thank you ladies who signed up when I put it out there in November. And basically, long story short, the website is to help people publish their passion. So like if you're a mobile boutique owner, but you are struggling with getting started and thinking through like how, what your brand is. And then also like, how do you create branding for your brand? Like that's where I come in. So I have like cool resources on my page. I'm about to start, doing some coaching and some webinars. So if that's your kind of thing, if you're trying to, up your game and have really good branding materials like business cards, websites, whatever that match your brand. And really your brand is like what people think and feel about like your personal brand or whatever you're selling. Check me out. And I did like a little test, like Astrell was like kind of like my tester. And she actually asked me to do her Shopify website, and I told her no.
No. Stop talking. Don't even lie, because I know what it is. First of all, everybody look. I asked her to do my Shopify site. She did my first my first 2 websites. And that, that's what friends are supposed to do, right? So I figured she would do this one too. She told me no, flat out no. She said, do it yourself. So I had to buckle down and figure out how to do it myself. And it was really easy after it was pretty easy. Mm-hmm. And I did an awesome job. Okay. So don't let her bamboozle you.
What she's not telling you people is like, I was like her coach, right? So first of all, she's like, I don't know, I can't do this, I don't have time. I'm like, Astrell, you got this, you have no choice, I refuse to help you. Google this, Google that, use this widget, think about that, bam. And bada bing, bada bam, she did it herself.
Yes.
I'm just saying, people, that's the kind of coaching that I do. I'm hardcore.
That you can't help them.
Exactly. And then I go to your website and I say, this is ugly, that works, that doesn't work, change this, change that, use that font, and then boom, you're good.
Okay. So you're more like an editor.
I'm more like an art director because I don't want to do the work for people. I just want to tell them what works and what doesn't work and what to think about. So just think of me as your personal art director, because what we see, and even Astrell put like a post out or like a message out in the Let's Talk About Fashion Truck group where she was like, hey people, do you guys want to get honest feedback on your products? Because we were struggling, Astrell and I were struggling a little bit because we saw a few products in the page, and this is not to pick on anyone, that we were like, ooh, that design could have been a lot better and a lot cleaner. And so we don't want to like offend anyone in the group, but we do want to give people really good feedback so then that they know like that their signage or their business card or their truck wrap or whatever is really good design and it really reflects like their brand and who they are. So it is important. And so but that's what I do. So anywho, long story short, enough about me, but check out NACHESNOW.com to see what I'm doing over there. NashaySnow.com. That's it. and don't let Estrella lie. I helped her. Okay. So let's talk about episode.
Courtney Jackson. She is the first episode of the season. She is the owner and operator of Curbside Fashion Truck in Maryland.
Yeah, and she also, which is pretty cool, is a Navy veteran. Yeah. And she even though she has like this business, she also continues to work a full-time job. So she could tell you guys like how she's been doing that for the last couple of months.
And one key thing for Courtney with her business is she decided, instead of looking on Craigslist or Truck Paper or all the other sites to find a used vehicle, she decided to purchase an existing turnkey business, which means that it was already an active mobile boutique that somebody was selling the whole entire business. And that means that it came with the truck already wrapped, everything, business cards. It came with the social media pages, everything. So she didn't really have to do much, and it only took her a couple months to get up and running, you know, just waiting on her products or her merchandise to purchase. So that was awesome. And she talks a little bit more about that in the episode. So if you want to hear more, here we go.
Hello, everyone. We have Courtney here from Curbside Fashion Truck. Welcome, Courtney.
Thank you.
Yeah, what's really cool is you're like in my neck of the woods in Maryland, because I'm in Upper Marlboro, Maryland, and are you Bel Air, Maryland?
Yeah, I'm not too far away.
Yeah, not too far. But I'd like to just start out with you telling the listeners out there just a little bit about you before the fashion truck.
So I am a proud Navy veteran and Marine Corps spouse. My husband actually retired earlier this year. And for my career, I work full-time in IT and computers. I specialize in cybersecurity. So I've been doing that pretty much my entire career. I'll talk a little bit about the retail, but I did also a e-commerce site called Courtney Couture. So I ran that for over a year before I got into the fashion truck.
Now, is the Courtney Couture still active, or did you just transition completely to the fashion truck?
I've transitioned completely to the fashion truck.
Now, what made you decide to do that?
So Courtney Couture was 100% online. Like, I wasn't doing any in-person events. And I wanted to get more into the retail, and I wanted more of the face-to-face with my customers. So that's why I decided to get a fashion truck, just kind of step it up a notch where I'm actually in person and interacting with people.
Okay. And what was the moment that you decided you wanted a fashion truck? Did you ever decide to do a brick and mortar, or was it always the truck?
I initially wanted to do brick and mortar. That was something a couple years ago that I thought of. And when I relocated to Maryland this year, I looked into it. But like with a lot of people, I looked at the overhead costs, and then I still have a full-time job. So I wanted something I could work, you know, outside of my normal business hours. I didn't want to have to pay someone to be there all day. That's another expense. So that's why the fashion truck just made a lot of sense for, you know, my current lifestyle, what I'm doing right now.
And so just to give the listeners a sense of time frame, when did you start and end like Courtney Couture online, and then when did you start the fashion truck?
Courtney Couture started November of last year. So I'm right at the year mark of almost for Courtney Couture. My fashion truck business I actually just launched in October of this year.
Really?
Yes.
Congrats.
Thank you. And, you know, it's different because, you know, a lot of people do the initial truck purchase and wrap and build out, but I actually purchased a turnkey business. So I purchased it from the original owner.
Oh, okay.
So I was up and running within, you know, 2 weeks of the purchase. You know, I just had to purchase some initial things and do the, you know, the registration, license, permits, and I was on the road.
Now, so for some, I know other people are considering doing the same. Can you explain like just kind of what all comes with like a turnkey business?
Absolutely. So with this particular sale, I purchased the truck itself, so it was already wrapped with the logo. It was already built out. It had the shelving, everything in it. Some merchandise came with it. One thing that's been great, I acquired her social media pages. So that's big, right? With the followers and everything. That was key because, like, especially the truck started in DC, I'm about hour and a half away from there, but there's still people in the area that were already familiar with it, before I came out with it. So that helped a lot. Yeah, so I purchased all of that and really I just had to do, the registration and I purchased like the square stand and, stuff like that. But I had a lot of what I needed already to get started.
Now, did a lot go into transferring the business over to you? What did that entail? Like, was there any paperwork involved, or is it just, hey, this is your business now?
There was definitely some paperwork. We had the initial bill of sale and then obviously the title transfer for the vehicle. And then since she lived in Maryland, she already had it registered with the state. So I had to do some transfer paperwork there. But other than that, that's all the paperwork that was required. As far as the, sales and tax ID and things like that, I just had to do all that, under myself.
And so, you get this new business.
Right.
And so just to give people a perspective, like this episode will probably air in January when we launch the new season. But right now, today is like December 7th. So it's only been like literally about 2 months. So can you tell us a little about how that's been? Like, how many events do you do a week, or how many times do you go out on, during, for the weekend? Like, how has it been so far?
It's been busy. My first event was actually the end of October, October 29th. So from there to now, I've actually done 11 events.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I've been really busy getting the business going. And I'm now starting to book some private home shopping events. Like I have my first one actually this Saturday morning. A dad is surprising his 2 daughters and having me come and bring the truck. And for Christmas, like an early. Yeah, I'm excited. That's so cool. I'm like, my dad, I wish he would have.
Right.
Not like passing truck then, but like, hey, that's cool. So I'm definitely hoping to do, more of that. And after that, in the afternoon, I'm going to a Christmas marketplace and a parade. These events have been great. My biggest event was actually November 2nd, locally. You're up Upper Marlboro. I don't know if you heard of Baltimore Style Magazine.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
So they had a really big event called Cogs and Couture. It was a red carpet event. And I was the only fashion truck there parked by the entrance. So I was like a partner sponsorship with them. And that was huge for me because a lot of people still are new to the concept. So they came on, and that was my biggest sales event, biggest exposure. So it was a really good launch type of event for me.
Oh, awesome.
So that was a lot of fun. So yeah, the events have been great. I've been busy. That was only weeknight event. The other ones have been Saturdays and Sundays.
Okay. Do you have anybody working with you?
Yes. So my mom is in town a lot. She's been helping me out. My husband's been a huge help. Like, he drives the truck for me. And then I did a ladies' night event where I had a friend with me. So it just kind of rotates. Whoever's available, I'm like, okay, let's go. I got this event. Because I definitely, that's one thing I want to say to the listeners. That I personally do not believe it's a one-person job. I mean, it's a lot of work. Maybe you can do an event by yourself, but in terms of the whole business, like the ordering and doing the inventory and tagging things, I mean, it's a lot. So having a support system is very key, at least to me it is.
Now, with the online business that you had and the inventory that you have now, is it the same, or did you have to order a whole different style or type of clothing?
It's different. So with that online business, there was a company that I was partnered with. So I sold one particular vendor, one designer. So I was limited in what I could sell. And that's another reason why I like the fashion truck so much, because now, I can sell whoever I want. It gives me a lot more freedom and flexibility.
Okay. And are your clothes, what are the price points of your clothing?
At this moment, the highest thing I have is $65.
Okay.
So I try to keep things very reasonable and still fashionable.
Okay. And then the market that you in, do you think you can go up?
I think so. As I bring in more and more, and being so new, I'm still learning, the market and what's really selling and what's, not as hot. So I definitely think there's room to go up.
Because I think with the new fashion truck owners or just new business owners, period, it's hard trying to find your target market and then knowing what you can and can't sell. Like you can't have $100, products in a low income area,
right?
So it's just knowing your target.
Right.
Yeah, but I think this area, it's an interesting area because there are like $1 million homes in this area, right? And so it's like, it just depends on where you are, right? Like if you're in Bethesda, Maryland, for example, it might not be anything for them to drop $200 versus if you're somewhere else, like they're going to maybe, want like, $30 deals. So
right.
yeah, it's kind of tricky because I
It
feel like
is.
it's all over the map here. It just, it just depends on what part of the city you're in and which state. It's kind of
I
crazy.
agree totally. And I'm still navigating that. Taking really good notes, and then I like, Square, where I can see what, some inventory specific, like what's selling and looking at the price points and stuff. So I'm definitely keeping my eye on those things.
No, that's awesome. Now, what's, interesting is you're kind of like us where, you have this 9 to 5 and then like we do this and some other things on nights and weekends. How do you balance it? Because I think sometimes people struggle with like, how do you keep it all together? Like, so what's been working for you so far?
It is. I mean, it's not easy. Google Calendar is like my best friend. I have to make sure that everything is scheduled out, and I put the reminders in there, make sure, okay, I have this, I have that. Just really good planning and organization, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And I have 2 young daughters. I have a 3-year-old and a 9-year-old at home. So, finding time for them as well. But they think it's great. They love the fashion truck. So my 9-year-old's actually been out with me before and she actually did great. So, just, I think if you can incorporate, your family and everything into it too, then make it like a family thing. I think that helps too.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think what's amazing too and what's inspiring is basically they're old enough where they'll remember this and like
Exactly.
what you're doing will kind of influence them when they get older. Like they see how hard you're working, that you are balancing 2 jobs and an entrepreneur in one of them. So yeah, I think like the long-term effect of that is going to be pretty amazing.
I agree.
Do you plan on maybe partnering with any other fashion truck owners? Because I know there are quite a few in that area.
I do plan on that. I actually met one at an event a couple weeks ago and we exchanged information and we've become like Facebook friends and just kind of talking about some stuff for next year. I'd love to do that.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because there's several out here. Like from Baltimore to like the DC area. And for those of you out there, this is kind of like a weird area because even though we're talking about Maryland, literally DC and Virginia is right here. So you could like pass through all 3 states like in one day. So it's, which I think sometimes people don't get that, but like literally I just left Virginia, drove through DC and came to Maryland. Which is pretty cool too, because then you could tap like a lot of different markets.
Right.
So for you, this will be your first winter with the fashion truck. So do you think like when it starts to snow, you'll probably just like, would there be just like a period of time where you just won't take the truck out? Are you thinking about selling online during that time, or will that just kind of be like a period of rest? Like, what's your plan for maybe January, February?
I'm planning to take January off as far as like the in-person events. Just because I dove into this and, I'm like, I'm going to take a step back for a minute, but definitely online. I'm pushing that a lot, and then I have some events booked already for 2017, but I haven't booked anything for January. They start up in February, and a few of them will require me to set up indoors. And I wasn't sure about that initially because I'm like, that's the whole idea of the fashion truck, right? Like, so I don't have to lug my stuff back and forth. But at the same time, I don't, want to sit dormant for 3 or 4 months either.
Mm-hmm.
So, for the specific events that I'm targeting that I'll do that for, I think it'll be worth it. But I'm definitely looking forward to the spring.
Right. But the indoor events, I feel like we've talked to a lot of trucks that have done that, especially in the colder months. But even people like in Cali, where they don't really have to worry about the weather too much, depending on where they are, I think they still take advantage of those indoor events because it's just another way to get in front of a different audience.
Exactly.
Yeah. So that's pretty cool.
Especially for me, since, it's still so new for me. So I don't want to start off this way and then kind of take a few months where no one sees my face anywhere and then come back in the spring. So I want to kind of keep the momentum and build upon it,
And I feel like, it's so funny too. And let me know if it's more of a struggle like with the truck. But, as far as like inventory and knowing like how much to have you found that it's kind of harder to figure out with the truck versus selling online?
It is harder with the truck. I am still learning the balance for the inventory. And, since people are actually coming on there and they're trying stuff on because there's a dressing room on there, I think it's a lot different than online where it's like, oh, this looks cute, I'll put this in the cart, So yeah, I'm definitely balancing or trying to learn, the inventory. I don't want to have too much on hand that's just sitting dormant, but then I want to make sure I have enough, for when the events come up, keep people's interest. And so, yeah, it's a bit of a challenge with the inventory, but so far so good.
I kind of want to backtrack just a little bit with the purchase of the truck. I'm really curious to know, like, what was the appeal of? Well, I guess I kind of know the appeal of of buying something already ready to go, versus starting fresh, putting your own stamp on a brand new truck, or not a brand new truck, but just creating it yourself.
I know what you mean. Well, again, I like the turnkey aspect of it since it was so new for me. I thought it was great just to have the following already and then to have everything in place. And that's one reason I said I'll be down in January as well. I'm talking to my husband about, some changes we're planning to make to the interior. The wraps and stuff are way expensive. So that's staying.
That's a couple thousand, a few thousand.
But, some of the interior stuff, we have some ideas and some things that we want to change. So the truck itself, it stood out to me online. Like I looked at multiple trucks online that were for sale. And when I saw this one, I'm like, that fits my style though. I really like that truck. So the funny thing is though, I almost walked away from this vehicle.
Really?
Yes. So it looked great online, right? And I get there. We took the day off, by the way. My husband and I, 5-hour drive. The truck would not start. Yeah. I was like, I was told it was good to go. So I expected just kind of go there and fall in love and just roll out, but no, it wouldn't start.
Oh,
and,
wow.
We had arranged for like a local mechanic to come out even before we knew that, just to kind of do a quick inspection to check it out before we purchased it. And he looked at it and he was like, he told us it was a dud. He was like, you're going to have to spend at least $6,000-$7,000 to get it operating.
Whoa.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So at that point we had actually like walked away and we went to lunch, and I'm at lunch like, man, that's crazy. I really wanted that truck. I'm like, oh, well, I guess it wasn't meant to be. And the small town that it was parked in, when we left lunch, we ended up having to ride back past the house. It was like this one road that went in and out. And I saw a mechanic over there working on it. So we pulled into the gas station. I'm like, maybe we should just go see what they're doing. And it was the owner, well, the previous owner's mechanic, and he said that there were some minor things that he was going to fix, and he'd have it ready in the morning. And she's like, "Well, would you guys, stay the night?" And at first we're like, because normally I'm big on like signs and stuff. So I'm like, is this a sign that maybe I shouldn't buy this truck? But I was like, we can stay the extra night. We had someone watching the kids. So, but the next morning it was up and running. And we drove it back 5 hours. We took it to the mechanic. That 7,000 he told us, we ended up spending about 1,500.
Wow.
Yeah.
He just blew that way over proportion.
Oh,
look, my advice: get a second opinion.
Yeah, absolutely.
I was about to like, oh no, I can't, buy this and then put another 6, 7 into it. So I'm glad that it worked out. It's been great, knock on wood, so far.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just funny how I just knew I was going to get it, and then I got there and like, oh gosh, it's not running, but I ended up getting it anyway. So it worked out.
It was meant to be. And it sounds like so far you've achieved a lot of success.
Mm-hmm.
Well, question for you. So now that you've been doing this like a couple months, going into the winter season, is there anything that you would like to pass on to others that are thinking about doing this? Just something to remember as they start, like things you realize, like maybe your first month after starting this or getting this business?
I think it's extremely important to track expenses from day one. Even though I got the truck fixed, there were like other little things that just built up, like the LLC registration fees and the insurance, and I ended up getting QuickBooks later, and I had to backtrack to everything I had spent because I wanted to have one place to go to say, okay, these are the expenses and what I brought in. And so I would say definitely track your expenses from day one. And, do the research, obviously, depending on where you are, for your state and local licensing and permits that you're required to, sell the goods from the vehicle. And insurance was a bit of a hurdle for me, so I would say definitely make sure you're, upfront about the type of business you're going to run so you can make sure you get the right type of insurance for the commercial auto liability and, cover the contents and stuff like that. The other thing, well, you asked for like one thing, and I'm going down this long list.
No, this is good stuff. This is good stuff. Okay. Yeah.
Another thing I will say too, for the events that I booked, I would say definitely do your research before you pay your vendor fee. Like ask what the expected attendance is going to be and how they're marketing the event. I had some great ones, but I had like a few duds too, where there were like 20 vendors and like 10 customers all day. So it's like, and I'm not to say that that's necessarily their fault, but I've learned, the type of questions to ask. At first I was like, oh, I can book this. You got a space available? I'll take it, but now I'm like, okay. So how many
right.
Is this your first time doing this? Like, is this a recurring thing? I'm learning the right questions to ask for the events. So I think that's really important.
Yeah, that's great advice. So we just have a few wrap-up questions to help the listeners get to know you a little bit better. Do you have a favorite podcast, blog, book, or TV show? And if so, what is it?
My favorite show right now is actually This Is Us. It's the first season, but I absolutely love that show. It has nothing to do with this, but it's about
I've seen the previews for it, but I haven't gotten into it. I'm like, I don't know. It just seems like too happy, and I'm more into like sci-fi werewolves and vampires. I'm like, this is way too happy.
So you like Twilight? That was like your thing.
Exactly.
I like that too, though. That was great. But this show, it was about it's about a blended family and adoption, but it has a good mixture of like comedy and drama. I don't know, for me, not a lot of shows are like that. You have the reality shows and other things, but that's my favorite show at the moment.
If you could have any celebrity, entertainer, model, athlete, whoever visit your mobile boutique, who would it be?
Beyonce. I love her.
Yeah, that would be.
But speaking of celebrities, this has nothing to do with this, but I have to say this. I met Oprah and I got a picture with her a couple years ago.
Wow.
I didn't have a fashion truck then. So I'll circle back and say, it'd be nice to kind of see her again and talk to her about
what you need
business.
to do is you just need to put that picture on Twitter and be like, Oprah, it was so great meeting you a couple of years ago. If you're ever in Maryland, stop by my boutique.
You know what? That's a great idea. It's funny. I actually posted that picture earlier today. It said it was my Woman Crush Wednesday.
Oh, I see it on here too. I see it.
Yeah.
I do.
Put a couple Oprah hashtags in there. Get some more
I'm just
saying,
tag her. You need to tag her and be like, Oprah, this is what I need you to do. I need you to contact me. Remember me. And then what do you like to do in your free time to wind down and de-stress?
Travel.
Ooh.
Oh my gosh. I love traveling. And it doesn't have to be.
Are you domestic or international? Or do you go everywhere?
Everywhere.
Oh, awesome.
My last trip was Turks and Caicos in September, and that place is amazing.
See, Nashay, that's where I want to go. I've been trying to
go there. I'm telling you, that is one of the most beautiful places I've ever been in my life. Seriously, it is gorgeous.
But isn't the flight really long?
No.
I thought it was like one of those flights, like over 10 hours.
Oh, no, okay. I think, off the top of my head, I think it was like 4 or 5 hours. It wasn't that long. It surprised me too, because I thought it was pretty far too. But it is expensive there, though. I mean, a gallon of milk like $8.
Wow.
Yeah. It's, I don't know how they even live day to day over there, but it's a beautiful place.
Look, I can visit, but I'm not gonna live here.
Right.
Okay, Astral, that is a must-have for 2017. So plan that. Okay. And then, are you Android or iPhone? And what's your favorite app?
iPhone all the way. I have so many Apple products: MacBook, iMac, iPhone. There's this game. Okay, don't laugh at me, but there's an app called Top Stylist. Do you guys know what that is?
No.
So it's a game where you earn points for styling people in the app. It sounds a little kiddie, but it's fun. I like it.
I was just about to ask, this is a children's game?
No,
but you know what? I swear, there are so many adult games like that though. If I knew how to program apps, I would just make a ton of games because that's where the money is at for adults and children. It's crazy.
What would you attempt to do if you knew you could not fail?
What in life? Like anything?
And it could be anything.
Yeah, anything. It doesn't have to be related to what you're doing. It could be any and everything.
If you knew you could handle it, get away with it, or it could happen, what would it be?
I would run a $1 billion company, but I don't know what it would be. But if it would happen, hey, we can make that happen and it'd be good. That's it right there.
You know what? I'm with you. If you need some employees, just Estrella and I, we are really hard workers.
Right.
And where can the audience find you?
So I don't actually have a set schedule for 2017 yet. And that's what I'm working on, a recurring schedule, like Wednesdays here or Fridays there. But on my website and on my social media, I post all of my events and pop-up shops. So if they follow me at Curbside Fashion Truck, they'll be able to see where I'll be at.
Perfect. And you guys, just like always, we will have the links in our show notes. So if you head on over to startafashiontruck.com, and if you type in either Courtney or even just Curbside, her show notes will come right up. Thank you so much for coming onto the podcast, Courtney.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. I had a lot of fun.
Thank you.
Well, I hope you loved our first episode of 2017. Lots of good nuggets in there.
Absolutely. I especially, like her tips that she provided. She wants to make sure that, track your expenses from day one. Research is the key. Research your license and permits. Make sure you know what type of insurances you need. Do your research on events that you apply for, et cetera, et cetera. Just research. Research is your key.
Mm-hmm. And hopefully too, this, because I think some people are not sure if they should buy an existing business or if they should just start something from scratch. And for her, this was like perfect,
But it also depends on your budget too. Because buying an existing business is going to be a little bit more pricier than just buying like a $1,500 truck and fixing it up yourself.
Yeah. Even though the turnkey business is kind of nice too, because, if it's like a pretty good business that you're buying, like it's hopefully already turning a profit. And so you don't have to wait 2 years before you start making money. If it is a good business you're buying, you start out making money because you're capitalizing off of the hard work they've already done by building their social media and building a clientele base. So, right. It's just, but it depends on the budget. But anywho, this was amazing. And we have lots more in store. We also wanted this season to do more one-on-one podcast where it's just Estrella and I talking about certain things. Like at the beginning of the podcast, we both talked about how we both have Shopify sites. We talked about photography. We talked about how my thing is kind of art direction and, design and building your brand. So let us know what you want us to talk about. When it comes to selling stuff and building your brand and building a community, things like that, where, that's our jam, even though we do not own trucks. So maybe we can't give you specifics about buying a truck except what we've heard. But the other stuff we have tried and experimented and we know what works and what doesn't work. So if you have any ideas, put it in the show notes or send us an email at hello@findafashiontruck.com.
Absolutely. And don't forget, try Shopify. Get your 14-day free trial. startafashiontruck.com/Shopify. Let us know how it works out for you.
All right. Well, thank you again for listening in. And please head on over to iTunes and give us a rating. You know that was coming, people. You knew that was coming. You knew it was coming. And you could just go to startafashiontruck.com/iTunes, and it will take you right to the iTunes page so you could give us a nice little rating. And if you're already in the app on your phone, on your iPhone, the iPhone podcast app, please just go in there and rate us. We'll love you forever.
All right. Thanks for parking here.